Hey to all of my dedicated learners here in this course. I just want to remind you at the beginning of this video how incredibly proud I am of you for working so hard until this point. We're talking about aspects of language that no one ever talks about in the classroom, or almost never. These aren't classic or typical things that you're going to see in other language learning curriculums. But it's so important because pronunciation and how we use our voice, especially in prosody with this module, right? We're talking about other aspects that go even further beyond pronunciation. We're talking about how we use our voice in a different way. And it's just so impactful for your communication skills. So congratulations on making it this far and taking it so seriously, because this is a really important aspect of communication that's going to push you forward in a new and exciting way. Okay, so today in this video, we are talking about the third aspect of American prosody, which is intonation. Okay, so we're going to go into the nitty gritty, into the details of intonation so that you can feel comfortable moving forward as always and know how to practice. So what we're going to talk about in this lesson, we're going to talk about what is intonation, okay, and why intonation is important to understand and control. What's so important about it? What's the big deal with intonation? Why can't I just say things how I want to? How's it going to affect me if I say things differently? Okay, we're going to talk about that. We're going to also discuss the most common intonation patterns in American English so that you can be aware of them and better able to distinguish them when you hear them being used. And we're going to talk about how to analyze intonation patterns. Okay, so let's get to it. What is intonation? This is a really key part of prosody when we're talking about the English language. So what is it? So intonation is the rise and fall of your voice. When I'm speaking, I'm not staying monotone on the same level all the time. I don't sound like a robot or a computer. My voice is dynamic. It goes up and down. It has a rise and fall. And that rise and fall is giving us a lot of different things, different feelings when we're speaking, right? So this is when we're talking about pitch. So this has nothing to do with volume, okay? So pitch is, you can think of it like on a musical scale, on a scale of notes. If you go da, 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 I'm not very musically inclined with my voice. I'm not a singer, but this is something we're naturally doing with our voice, is we're going up and higher in notes. So you can go higher in your notes without speaking louder, okay? So if I talk about the rise and fall of my voice, I don't say rise and fall. I don't have to scream, right? I don't have to scream when I'm using intonation. It's just going rise and fall. Da, 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 da. So we're going up and down with the musical notes of our voice. And this is why intonation or pitch is often compared to melody. So it's the sing-song of our voice. It's the musicality, okay? So why is intonation important? Why is it a big deal? So intonation is used to express mood, emotion, politeness, and it's also an indicator as to whether you have finished a sentence or not. So whether you are expecting a response from someone, or whether you are totally finished speaking, or whether you are going to continue on with your idea, all of these are things that intonation can clue us into. It's a key factor. So it is really important for expressing mood, emotion, politeness, and indicating whether you are finished speaking or not. So that's a pretty big deal. I'd say that's a pretty important part of communication. So what happens if we make a mistake? Do I really need to focus on intonation? Should I really care about intonation? These are questions that students often ask me, like, how big of a deal is it if I totally make a mistake with my intonation? So this is what I have to say about that. Don't stress about it, okay? No aspect of what we're talking about in this course, whether it's pronunciation or prosody or speech analysis, none of it should be so important that we stress and freak out and get nervous or anxious over any of these. These take time to better understand and to control as a habit with our voice. So it's totally okay for you to make a mistake. It's natural. Me and my non-native language of Spanish, there are things where I feel very comfortable. I feel just as comfortable in Spanish as I do in English, but there are aspects of the language with intonation specifically that I still just figured out for myself maybe 2 months ago, and I'm always learning how to adapt the way I speak and my natural habits to change those things. But it's not something you need to stress about. There's a learning curve. Okay. So if you make a mistake with intonation, you can always clarify the emotion or the politeness that you want to express to someone with just being more direct with your communication and words. So for example, if I'm at a restaurant and I want to use my intonation patterns to show that I'm being very polite to the waiter or waitress, then and I feel like maybe I've been rude. So for example, instead of saying, hi, could I please have some water? If I don't use that intonation pattern and instead I say, can I have some water? And I see that the waitress or waiter looks at me sort of like, oh, of course, maybe I've been a bit rude. Then you can be direct with your words and correct yourself afterwards. And you can just say, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And then they'll know that, oh, okay, they are appreciative of my service, or they are trying to be kind. And they'll realize it was just a mistake with your tone of voice, okay? Or if you're having a conversation with someone and you feel like you've offended them, you can always say, oh, no, I didn't mean to be rude. I was just trying to express my opinion. And I'm very used to being direct with my opinion. So that's why I said it like that. But I totally respect your opinion, So you can clarify with words the emotions that you're saying or trying to express. And you can just say, hey, I'm happy, or hey, I'm sad, or hey, I'm anxious. And then people will understand better how to read your intonation patterns. And when you're in doubt about something, just ask. Like, it's not a big deal. We often feel so afraid to just ask a question when we're talking to other, especially native speakers, right? We feel like, I can't ask this question because they are going to think badly of me. But no, like, people are so happy to help and just genuinely answer your questions. So for example, if you're talking to me and you hear me use an intonation pattern, and we're going to talk about these intonation patterns in depth in just a second, so hang on. If you're talking to me and you hear me use an intonation pattern and you are not sure if I'm asking a question or making a statement, you can ask, I'm sorry, is that a question or are you telling me? Like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And I can be, oh, no. Yeah, that was a question. Sorry. And then you can ask, okay, so if you're telling me, if you're saying a statement, how would you say that differently? And you can ask questions and you'll find that people are really happy to help you with that. Okay. If you make a mistake, if you're in doubt, just be more direct with your communication and words so that people know what you're feeling and trying to say. And ask questions to take advantage of those opportunities, because those are great learning opportunities, okay? So don't let them pass by. All right, so let's get into some of the common American intonation patterns that you can expect to hear. First, when we hear high pitch or people that are speaking in a really high tone of voice, this can express some different things. It can express excitement or surprise or politeness or interest. Like, wow, I'm really interested in what you're saying. So, for example, like excitement, like, wow, that's so cool. Surprise, going higher in pitch again, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Thanks for my surprise birthday party. Politeness, hey, could I get a glass of water? Using that high pitch, hey, can I get a glass of water? Or interest, wow, that's really interesting, versus, wow, that's really interesting. Okay. And a neutral pitch, if people are speaking more monotone or speaking like this, and we're not using that up and down when we're speaking, that will show that we're bored or uninterested. We don't really care what you're saying. So we want to be careful with this. It's good to use this up and down when we speak, But in other languages, it's not the same. So maybe for you, you feel more comfortable being monotone, but to others, maybe it'll make you sound rude or bored or uninterested. And we don't want people to perceive you as someone you are not, which is why intonation is so important to understand, okay? So we want to control this. Now let's talk about some other pitch patterns. So if you're using rising to falling pitch, so that means I'm starting high and then I'm going down. I'm starting high and then I'm going down. Starting high and then I'm going down. So remember, musical notes. So if we're using rising and then going low, it's when we are using statements or affirmative sentences. So just like a sentence, a statement, a declaration. So for example, I need to lie down. Practice this with me. I need to lie down. I need to lie down. Down, down. So we finish the sentence with falling intonation. I need to lie down. Commands. So if I want to tell you to do something, please take a seat. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Seat. So I'm ending on falling intonation. Or also when we ask WH questions, so like what, where, when, why. So if I ask, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? On. What's going on? So I start, the what is higher than the on. So that's showing the rising into a falling pitch. Another example with a WH question with why. Why are you here? 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 So why is much higher in pitch, rising, than the here, falling, okay? So those are rising to falling pitch. And then Americans, we use rising intonation for other things. So this is where we just go up, okay? So we start at a lower pitch and then we go up. So this could be like when we're asking a yes or no question. So if I ask you, are you finished? Are you finished? Are you finished? So if we compare, are you finished? Or I didn't ask it like a question there. So are you finished? Versus what's going on? Are you finished? Versus what's going on. So we're using it in a different way. So for a yes, no question, like, are you finished? Or are you done yet? Or do you want to come? Do you want to come? Using that rising intonation, that's for a yes, no question. We also use it, like I said for before, when we're expressing surprise or doubt. So, wow, that's so exciting. That's so exciting. 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 That's so exciting. Versus if I use rising to falling intonation for that, and I say it just like a declaration, it doesn't sound like I'm excited, right? It just sounds like a statement. That's so exciting. That's so exciting. Exciting. Versus, that's so exciting. Exciting. So when I rise my intonation there, when I go up, I'm showing that I'm excited, okay? I'm showing a different mood or different emotion. And also for expressing politeness. And this is really important when you're having just like daily conversations with people, like in the airport, or you meet someone new, or you're networking, or you go to a restaurant. We want to sound polite. In English, we sound very polite with our intonation patterns. So if I say, it's no problem at all. It's no problem at all. So I want to be really kind to you. Oh no, it's no problem at all. So I use a higher intonation. It's no problem at all. Versus if I used a rising to falling intonation, I wouldn't sound as polite. It's no problem at all. I don't sound like I'm actually being polite. I sound like I'm being rude. Okay. So if I say, it's no problem at all, it sounds like, okay, maybe it actually was a problem. Maybe they're actually angry. But if I say, oh no, it's no problem at all, with that high pitch and a smile, always helps, with a high pitch, then people know, okay, hey, she's being polite. It really was no problem for her. She did not mind helping me, okay? So those are some different intonation patterns that we commonly use in American English. So here are some tips for further analyzing and imitating intonation patterns moving forward. Because like, okay, I hear the differences, cool. Now what do I do to actually practice them myself? Because I don't know what I'm doing with my intonation, or I don't know how to recognize it. So here's how we can practice becoming more in tune or aware of intonation in general. Here are some tips for us. So first, we are going to identify which pattern is being used. So this can be when you're hearing people in a conversation, or when you're watching a YouTube video, when you watch a movie or a TV series. So what are they doing? Are they using rising to falling intonation? Are they using rising intonation for politeness, excitement, surprise? Or are they just being flat and really monotone? Are they being angry? Are they sounding bored, right? And then the second thing we want to do is ask ourselves why they're using that intonation pattern, because we use them for a purpose. It might be to express politeness, to express surprise, to express anger, to express rudeness, to express disinterest, okay? So why are they using that? Are they trying to be funny? Are they trying to be sad? Are they showing that they're angry? Find the why. That's really important. Next, we're going to ask ourselves which intonation pattern you would normally use in that situation and compare. Okay, so, all right, I just heard someone say, can I get you anything? Can I get you anything? So they asked me that question, a yes-no question with rising intonation, and they were using it to sound polite. Okay, can I get you anything? What would I say? I think I would naturally say, can I get you anything? Can I get you anything? In a lower voice or a lower intonation. Maybe that might sound a little rude compared to how the other person said it. So next time I hear someone say that phrase, or next time I want to use that phrase, I'm going to consciously think about rising or raising up my intonation a little bit. So instead of, can I get you anything? Can I get you anything? Can I get you anything? And I promise that if you smile a little bit when you're trying to sound polite or surprised or excited, you will naturally sound more surprised or excited or polite, okay? So that's what we can practice and implement. And take note of those experiences. Like if it's hard for you to remember them because maybe there's a lot of situations coming up and now you're recognizing intonation, write them down. Like have a list, write them down, and think about, okay, this week I'm going to focus on intonation. And you can be identifying those moments or the phrases that you want to use with a different intonation. And the more you use them, the more you will create a habit out of it and be able to better reflect or imitate how other people are using their intonation patterns as well. Okay. So let's practice. Let's get to work and start practicing these things. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys a quick tutorial of when you're watching like a movie or a TV series or a YouTube video, how you can practice analyzing intonation and prosody in general, okay? So it'll be a really important video so that you can practice analyzing on your own as well. So first, go ahead and take a look at the practice sheet and give that a practice a little bit. And then afterwards, go ahead and watch my tutorial video. It'll give you a lot of insight on how to practice and analyze on your own. I'll see you in the next one.